Hi guys. So I finished grading your argument papers, and what this will be is just a short video covering some of the main things to work on. It'll be kind of a review over how to do all of the parts of the paper. In the instructions that I gave, a lot of those parts are kind of broken up, and a lot of you guys missed one or two of those parts. And so I want to kind of go through one of the sample papers here and show you all of the different parts that go into it, so that if you're missing one of those parts, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. So we have our sample paper here. I've converted the sample paper into Google Docs for this example, because I think Google Docs is probably a little easier to work with, and I know everyone has access to it. This is an MLA style paper, and for every MLA style paper, it's going to be in this exact same format. Everything is going to be in Times New Roman, 12-point font. To find Times New Roman, you're going to just scroll down to where it says Times New Roman here. To get 12-point font, you're just going to click that and go to 12. In the top right corner up here, which I forgot to put in, you're going to have your page number and your last name. And so to get that, we're going to go to where it says Insert and scroll down. I believe it's Insert, right? Yeah, page number. Down here at the bottom here. And we're going to click this one, which will give us the page numbers in the top right corner, which is what we're looking for. Come on. Oh, right. In this one, you have to change this over here. So we'll insert it so that it's up at the top. Switch alignment so that it's on the right. And then in front of that, you're just going to put your name. This lady's name is Walters, I think. You'll remember... Oh, Anderson. You'll remember your own last name, but last name and then the page number. And if you insert it like that, you'll see that as you go through the pages, it'll be in the heading, in the header for every single page. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so your heading is this part here. Your header is this part. Your heading is this part. And this is only going to be on the first page. You're going to have your name, your full name, my full name, the class, and the date. And all of this needs to be double spaced. And then you're going to have a title. Title needs to be something about what you're actually writing about. In her case, it's Studio Ghibli being better than Disney. In your case, it'll be why online schools are better than in-person schools, or it'll be something like that. From there, you'll have your introductory paragraph, and this is a paragraph that is just going to get your readers into the mindset of your what you're writing about. So you don't actually have to have any sources in here. You can really just kind of discuss both sides of your issue. So if you're talking about how teaching needs to be more focused on practical skills like accounting and stuff like that, then you could make this where you talk about all of the useless classes that you took in high school and then which classes you wish you had taken. Or something like that. If you're writing about why nurses should get paid more, you could talk about how a lot of nurses are quitting and how difficult it is to be a nurse and all of that sort of stuff, and then talk about how much they get paid. Something like that. Just something to introduce your topic. You don't need any sources in here unless you state an absolute fact that would have to be cited. At the end of your introduction, you're going to have your thesis statement. And this was one that a lot of people had trouble with this time. Remember that you're making an argument, and remember that you are using points in there to show what you're going to talk about in the paper. So for an argumentative thesis statement, you want to say this should happen, or this is true, or something like that in your thesis. In her case, she wrote, through the use of empowering female leads, not relying on sequels, and dreamy whimsical art that leaves the viewer wanting more, Studio Ghibli is better than Disney. So Studio Ghibli is better than Disney is the thing she's arguing. She's going to argue that as if it's a fact. It is her opinion. It's also a lot of other people's opinion that have read this paper. But she's not going to say, in my opinion, this is the case. She's going to say it as if it's a fact. And then she also has in here all of her points that she's going to make. The empowering female leads, the not relying on sequels, and the dreamy whimsical art. These are all going to show up in her body paragraphs here as she goes through her paper. You can see her body all of her paragraphs. She's got the first line indented, and if you have Microsoft set up correctly, this should just happen anyway. If it's not doing that, you'll go to formats. Let's see, lines. What is it? Alignment, and you will just set this up so that first line is indented 1.43. I guess it should be 0.5. I don't know why it's like that. So each one should be indented 0.5 like this. You can also, if it's not working, you can press tab and it should indent it correctly for you. Each one of your body paragraphs, your supporting body paragraphs, will have a topic sentence here where you are arguing one of the points that you mentioned in your thesis. So for her, she said that one of the things that's really good about Studio Ghibli is empowering female leads. And then you can see in this topic sentence here, the first sentence of this paragraph, empowering female leads in Studio Ghibli films breaks society's stereotypical and often sexist roles. So that's going to be one of her main ideas here. You can write something like, one reason schools should only go 4 days a week is because this. Or one reason that health insurance should be free is because it would save everyone money or whatever. Whatever you want to say, make sure that that is here in your topic sentence. If you don't have a topic sentence that's telling us what this paragraph is going to be about, I have pointed that out and I've told you to fix it. But your first sentence of every body paragraph needs to just be a straight up statement of what your reasoning is for this paragraph. And that'll tell you what to write in this paragraph. Some of you guys had messy paragraphs that were kind of all over the place. That might be because you don't have a good topic sentence or you didn't have a good thesis statement to start out with. And that's not giving you a roadmap of what you're going to write. So this one is all about, like we said, female leads at Studio Ghibli breaking society's sexist roles, right? And then she's going to go in here and she's going to give us some evidence to back that up. First, she talks about Sophie Breeze here, who writes about this kind of thing, and then she has this quote. And then she has a couple of other pieces of evidence here too. You only really need one piece of evidence for a body paragraph, but the more that you have, the more the evidence is going to tell you what to write, and the easier this will be to write. So she has like 3 pieces of evidence in here, I think. Maybe not. Maybe she just has one, because this is the same one. So anyway, each paragraph is going to need to have a topic sentence like this one. It's going to need to have evidence. That can be a quote, it can be paraphrased, it can be something like that, but it needs to have something coming from a source that isn't you, stating facts or opinions that you got from somebody more knowledgeable than you. Sophie Breeze, I think, is some kind of person who writes a lot about animation. So that's why she's picked her to write about this. If you're talking about healthcare, then you could cite someone who knows a lot about healthcare law, or you could cite someone who's worked in the insurance field. If you're talking about education, you could cite something that a teacher wrote about that topic, right? But you need to have in every body paragraph at least one source. As we go down, we can see more of her points here in her topic sentences. Studio Ghibli doesn't rely on sequels to garner success. So that's a second topic sentence that's connecting to her thesis. Studio Ghibli films are dreamier and have an immersive whim that Disney cannot compete with. Yeah. Okay. So those are her main points, and she has each one of them with a full body paragraph with evidence. Finally, down here, she has her counter-argument paragraph. So this is going to be more complicated because she needs to find two sources for this one, and you need to do that as well. If you didn't do that, then I pointed that out. A counter-argument paragraph is not just saying what your opponent would say. They're not going to say, if you're arguing that electric cars are better than gas cars, you're not going to have a paragraph where you say, electric cars have a lot of disadvantages, and just talk about all of those disadvantages. You'll say, one reason that opponents say electric cars are bad is because they require maintenance at the factory. And then you'll have evidence that backs that up. And then you'll have, you'll say, this is counteracted by the fact that they don't require as much maintenance. And you'll show that they don't from another source or something like that. So you'll need one source that shows one side of it, one source that shows why Disney is better in this case, and then another source that shows why Studio Ghibli is better on whatever this point is. So her point that she's making here, she say, people who disagree that Studio Ghibli is the best claim that Disney is superior solely based on how well known it is. So that's the point that she's going to argue about here. She's going to have one source that says, this is how well known it is, and this is why Disney is great. And then she's going to have another source that says it doesn't matter how well known you are to be a good studio. So as we scroll down here, we can see this one is talking about how much money they made and how much higher grossing Disney is. Disney's made, $1.45 billion, right? And then as we scroll down, we can see these people talking about how much greater Disney Studio Ghibli is as an art form. Every Ghibli movie feels like freestyling or a leap of faith, and that just feels more impressive than hitting the right notes perfectly. So that's a quote that she has from IndieWire about that very topic. Then finally she has her conclusions down here where she's going to restate her main idea. She's going to talk about all the reasons that Ghibli is better, and then she's going to have a call to action or something like that here at the end. So those are the parts that I'm expecting you to have in this paper. If you didn't have all of these parts, you need to go back and rewrite it that way. Now for the works cited page, and a lot of people had trouble with this. I had a lot of people turn in just hyperlinks to different articles, or just the name and just the title and author, and that's not what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for you to make full works cited citations, which look like this. So you should have last name and first name of authors if you have authors. If you don't, then you'll just have the title in quotes. But they should all have a title in quotes. They should all have a website and maybe a publisher where it came from. If the publisher and website are the same, then you'll have those be the same. A date published. That should look like that. And a hyperlink, and it should have a date access too if you do this correctly. This was from a few years ago. So I'm going to show you how to make one of those now in Google Docs, because it's the easiest way to make these. So let's pretend like this isn't here and I need to make my works cited page now. I'm going to use this source, which was one of the sources that was already in the paper. And I'm going to take this and turn it into a works cited citation. So to do that, I'm going to go to where it says Tools up here, and I'm going to scroll down to Citations. And that'll open up this box over here on the side. MLA 8th is what I want to be in. I'm going to click Add Citation Source. Then I'm going to scroll down to Websites. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this URL, and I'm going to copy paste that right into here. And if I do this and I press search, a lot of times if somebody's used this site before in a paper, and we know somebody has, then it may just populate all of this stuff for you. So let's see what happens. As we can see, it actually did populate it has everything for us. So it has the title here, it has the website, it has the URL, the date published, which is February 6, 2022, the date accessed, which is today, and it has the author. So for the sake of showing you guys how to do this better, I'm going to go ahead and cite this manually, but if you just press continue, it would fill all of this in for you and you'd be pretty much done. So when I cite manually, I have to go in and do all of this myself. Most of the time you're going to have blank missing stuff, or it'll be wrong. It'll say like Wikipedia did this was from Wikipedia and it wasn't, or this is from YouTube and it wasn't. And in that case, you'll have to go in and fix it. So first thing I need is the author, who is this person here. I'm just going to copy paste that, Control C, Control V, and let's chill out with the capitalizations. Alright, so that's, oops, I didn't mean to click that. So that's the author's name. Now we're gonna get this title. The 15 highest grossing Walt Disney Animated Studio movies ever. Control C, Control V, and that copy pastes that into the title. Website title is Screen Rant. Will this copy? Alright. Publisher is also Screen Rant, and because it's also Screen Rant, we don't actually have to repeat that. If it's a different thing, if this was like, if Screen Rant was part of New York Times or something, then we would put that, but because it's the same, we don't have to put anything. URL is this. This is your URL, so it's just whatever this address is at the top. Date, month, and year published, we can see that right here. Sometimes this is down at the bottom, but we can see that it's there at the top. February 6, 2022. So 6. February 22. The date accessed is today's date, so 5th of May, 2024. And the short title would be if we needed to use that for the in-text citation. We're not going to need that because we have an author. So I'm going to click Add Citation Source, and it's added it to my list. I would then go through and I would click this again, and I would add all the rest of the different sources that I had until I had all of them. But for the sake of brevity, I'm not going to do that. We'll pretend this is my whole works cited page. So then once I'm done with that, I get a new page at the bottom of my paper, and I click Insert Works Cited, and it will spit out a works cited page for me. And it would put this in alphabetical order where it had all of the sources like this here, where it starts off with whatever this person's name is and ends with Why We Think. And it'll fill in all of the different parts for you so that it's correct and stuff. We used to have to do this by hand, and memorize what order all of this stuff went in and what was quoted and what was italicized and stuff. You just have to put it into the little boxes there. But you need to do that with all of them. If you're not doing that, it's costing you a lot of points, because it's always really important to be clear where your citations are coming from. All right, did I get everything? Counter arguments. Another thing that's really important that I forgot to mention, but body paragraphs can't just be a summary of a source. I know we did that for one of the projects where you went over your sources and wrote about them. That was just to see what your sources were about. You'll use your sources to back up what you're saying, but you need topic sentences and elaboration that are coming from you. And when you're done with your source, you need explanation where you're showing how your source connects to your topic sentence and your thesis statement. Every body paragraph needs a topic sentence like this here, and every body paragraph needs a source. Otherwise, you're not writing a research paper paragraph. You're either writing a source summary or you are writing an opinion that isn't backed up by anything. Alright, I think that's everything. So you have until, I'm going to give you guys until, let's say Tuesday at noon to turn in questions about your drafts if you want to ask those. Those are optional this time. You don't have to ask them if you don't have any questions. And you'll have until, let's say Wednesday at midnight to turn in your final draft of this paper. If you haven't turned in a paper yet, you need to get that in as soon as possible. All right, guys, good luck. Good luck on the finals. I'll see you all in the class.